Welcome back to the Show Up or Shut Up podcast with me, Wendy Solganik. This is season 5, episode 3, and today I am bringing you an interview with artist Dori Patrick. I am so happy to announce that Dory will be coming back as a second-time Fodder School teacher in Fodder School 5. Dory's art simply makes me happy and brings a huge smile to my face when I look at it. You can check out what her work looks like on Instagram at Patrick Dory. That's PatrickDori, or on her website, DoriPatrick.com. Dori Patrick lives a prolifically creative life as an artist in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. She is the mother of 2 grown children and is married to a sweet, long-suffering husband who cheers her on daily. You will also see him frequently on the road with her. He's a great packer, navigator, and snack getter. They have 2 adorable Labrador rescues who hang out with Dory in her studio, and she loves spoiling them. After owning a storefront, make and take art studio for 12 wonderful years in Marion, Iowa, she decided it was time to follow her own creative muse and journey out on her own art adventure. I know we can all learn a lot from Dory and her artistic journey, and I'm excited for everyone listening to get to know her. Welcome to Show Up or Shut Up, a podcast about prolific makers, specifically in the world of mixed media art. I'm your host, Wendy Solganik, also known as Willa Wanders on Instagram, and I'm here to explore the ups and sometimes the downs of being a mixed media artist. I've been a maker my entire life, and I've had 4 careers involving art. In each episode, we'll talk to artists about how they became prolific makers, why they make art, and the struggles they go through. We'll talk about being an online creative, social media, and how to navigate that world if that's what you're into. Whether you're a lover of mixed media art, watercolor painting, handmade books, art journaling, fiber art, assemblage, collage, or everything all at once, I hope you'll join me on this journey of mixed media making. If you like this podcast, hit the subscribe button and leave a review. You can find me, Wendy, at willawanders.com and on Instagram at willa.wanders and at fodder.school. Welcome to the podcast, Dori Patrick. So happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I am super stoked to be here.
Well, I'm also super stoked that you're here because I'll just let everyone know who's listening that you were a teacher in Fodder School 2, but that was before I interviewed every teacher. So this is actually going to be the first time that I'm learning about your real art story. I feel like I know you a little bit, but I don't know you a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm excited.
Okay, so here it goes. So I always start, my first questions is just where were you born?
Well, I am an Iowa girl through and through. I was born, raised, and still live in Iowa. I did most of my growing up in the southern part of the state. We kind of moved around here and there, but mostly stayed in the southern part of Iowa. I was, a typical 80s kid who rode my bikes in the streets and played video games and all the stuff. We would go out in the morning in the summertime and come home at dinner time. My dad's family, they were farmers, and my mom was a homemaker, took care of us kids and kept an eye on us. And it was just a really typical childhood of a kid of the 80s. And I have, you see so much of that nostalgia coming back nowadays. Of course, I'm really excited about the shows and everything. But yeah, and I don't think I planned necessarily to just always stay in Iowa, but it just kind of happened. I married kind of young, had my babies kind of young. That first marriage did not work out, but after that, I reconnected with an old friend from junior high, and he is my current husband of, let's see, 15 years now. We reside in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is north of where I grew up. It's the second largest town in Iowa. And I raised my kids here. It's a good family town, good place to raise kids. We are empty nesters now. My kids are grown. They've flown the coop, and we're enjoying our quiet life with two rescue Labradors.
All
And
right, I've got so many questions. Let's go back. Let's go back. So you said that your dad is from a family of farmers, and my first question is, did your dad operate a farm?
We did part of the time. Yeah, when in my early years, when I was really young, he worked for Goodyear at the rubber hose manufacturing facility. But his parents, my grandparents, always had a farm. They had an acreage and they also grew some crops and some animals and things. And he would often spend a lot of his free time helping them. And that was in Washington, Iowa, and so we eventually, like, when I think I was in 4th grade, we moved to Washington so he could help on a full-time basis with the farm because my grandparents were aging and they needed help to keep things running. So, yeah, so it was I didn't grow up on a farm the whole childhood, but part of it. And then when we would go to visit grandma and grandpa, that was exciting for a kid because there was just, my grandma she lived through the depression. And so like nothing ever went to waste. Like nothing. I mean, it was just, and she just was always cooking and always baking and always canning and had an enormous garden, and we would play in the timber and we would ride horses, and it was just this crazy fun time at grandma and grandpa's always. It was wild. It was wild. It probably made my mom a little nervous. 'Cause we were just like little hellions out there, but I have such fond memories of being in the countryside.
It
Yeah.
sounds amazing. So when you were a real little kid, what you're saying is you didn't live on the farm, but your grandparents had the farm and you would go visit them. But then there
Yeah.
came a time where your dad needed to go help them run the farm and your whole family relocated. So my question is, did you guys then move on to the farm? And if so, how old were you?
Let's see. Well, yeah, we didn't move on to their farm. We moved to a farmhouse not far from them. So we were kind of neighbors. It wasn't we weren't real close, super close to them, but yeah, so we moved to a farmhouse, but that was not the place where my grandma and grandpa were farming. It's kind of a convoluted description. So my dad would drive to grandma and grandpa's and help them when he could. So
And how far away was your grandpa's or your grandparents' farm from where you had originally been growing up?
it was a drive. And you know what? I don't know if I know exactly. My little brain feels like maybe it was, I don't know, 10 or 15 miles ish, maybe.
Oh,
It,
so not that
yeah,
far. Like
it
where
wasn't
you
far.
Okay. So where you grew up wasn't that far. So when you left this place that you were growing up, you weren't leaving all of your friends forever behind to go live in an exotic farm town.
No, well, kinda. I mean, I moved to a new school district. I had connections to Washington already because of my family being there. So that helped. So it was 4th grade, yeah, that I moved to this new school district. And I had to start over then, like making new friends and stuff in school. But I had the connections of family there, which kind of helped, you know?
Yeah. Do you remember at the time being either artsy or craftsy or both?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you don't get raised by Nancy, my mom, without you're not crafty. You don't live in her house and not be crafty.
Okay, tell me about your mom, Nancy.
So my mom, she was a homemaker and she kept us kids in line and she made everything. I mean, our house was always, every house we lived in was darling. Like, she decked it out. She made the curtains. She even would recover couches. And I mean, she just was a decorator extraordinaire. She's a very accomplished seamstress. She like made her own wedding dress. That's how accomplished she. So there were always like, fabric scraps around. I remember like just she would let me dig around in the scraps. We were always just like making stuff out of stuff. And we were outside all the time. So I don't even know. We were making all kinds of ridiculous things with whatever we could find. And she kept such a beautiful home. I don't remember that we like stressed her out with messes or anything. I think we just kind of made our messes and then she made us clean them up.
You're bringing me back to this memory and this thing about making stuff from scraps. I probably have mentioned this before at some point on the podcast, but I'm putting the pieces together more right now, and that is that I also grew up with a pretty crafty mom, but not as crafty as yours, but pretty crafty. And we didn't have a lot extra. So I was always making stuff from the stuff that fell off my mom's making. So pieces of scrap fabric and scrap cardboard and just a lot of scraps. And it just hit me now that's probably why I do this whole fodder school thing.
Yes, it was a little hint into your future, wasn't it?
Well, it's like I in the interviews for this series, we're gonna talk and I'm gonna talk to you about this, about your color sense, but like I think a lot of what is going on with many of us is that we are in some ways like subconsciously reliving happy childhood memories.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I did
Mhm.
not realize that until this series.
Yeah, I think and, my mom told me that she comes from farming people. I mean, she was born in the Chicago area, and her dad, who I never got to meet because he died at a young age, but they didn't have much, and she was and is a fashionista, and she wanted things to wear. And she was like, "There was no money for that stuff, so I had to make it." She's like, I had to. It was all we could afford to do, and she says, "I wanted cute clothes." So, it came out of necessity and something that she wanted bad enough that she taught herself to sew. Now, of course, our generation was my mom made a lot of our clothes and stuff growing up, but as we got older and fashion became so much more accessible and inexpensive, I think that I was not called to do it. Although as I age and my body keeps changing and I can't find things that I love to wear, I am tempted to just start learning a little bit more, about garment design and having the kinds of things that I want. But yeah,
That's
her
very
whole everything. She says it was out of necessity. I needed cute clothes, and I had to do it myself.
I think that that's a very common thing because I think that my mother also really wanted to have nice things to wear. And what my mom would do all the time is she would buy things from the bargain rack at the department store because we couldn't afford for her to buy anything that wasn't on sale and three times marked down.
Right.
So she was like an expert alterations person and she would alter all of her clothes. She wouldn't make them from scratch per se, but she would
Mhm.
alter everything like extensively to make it like almost like a bespoke It really, really did. It became like a bespoke garment where it was just fitted just right for her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Really different. So, Dory, tell me, what are your first memories of making stuff?
Okay, my brain immediately goes to that family room in our house. My mom was, she wanted some of the house to stay nice. And so we made our messes in a certain part of the house or outside. And so I think back to that family room where she was sewing and she would let us go through the scraps. And I would, make weird little Barbie clothes and I would stitch little quilts together for my dolls. I have a very vivid memory of making a bunch of drawings. I don't know even what they were, but I hung them all over this family room. And I told my mom, "This is my gallery. Would you like to come and see my paintings or my show or whatever?" She would come and admire my work, and I think she probably gave me some quarters or something and bought some pieces. And I mean, talk about foreshadowing, right?
Yeah. Is your mom alive? I hope she is.
She is. She is. And she's just as cute as a button. She lives just she's about a 5-minute drive away from me. She recently downsized. So she's in a little apartment and I can go see her whenever I want. She's nice and close. But yeah, so that that memory of just making a collection of something that really stuck with, and I can't remember really who came and saw the show, like, maybe family members came over, like, I think it hung for a while, so I think I had those pictures up for a while, probably until she got tired of it, but, yeah, so that's a big impressionable memory for me that she just let me do those things and express myself, and I never felt like I just thought, "This is what we do. We make things." I mean, I didn't understand families. I had friends, lots of friends, and a lot of them weren't creative, and I thought, "Well, how come you guys don't have glue and glitter and stickers and stuff?" It was so strange to me, you know?
So I'm going to ask you a question that I don't think I ask most people, but have you ever taken the Enneagram test?
I haven't, but I think my mom has taken it on my behalf because I think she told me she did all of our family's little personalities. And so I have not. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what I am, but she
Okay.
could. I think she could.
Okay, so I'm not going to ask you about what Enneagram type you are because you don't know. But so here's a question. When you were a child and you put your work up on a wall or you displayed it somehow and you said to your mom and other invited people like come to my gallery and look at my work, what feeling do you think you were looking for? Because people make for so many different reasons and I mean, okay, so people listening, you don't know yet that Dory is like quote unquote working artist in the sense that you are always doing gallery shows and always doing art festivals. So you are doing now exactly what the child Dory
Yeah.
love doing, which is the ideal career for people. Like, if people are undergoing career counseling as adults, I think that career counselors tell people, tell me about what you like to do as a kid, because that's a huge clue into what you're going to like doing as an adult. So I'm just curious if you can remember anything about the feelings that you had about showing people your work.
Gosh, that is a really good question. That's a really good question. I think that for a lot of us, artists and makers, I think it is, gosh, you're stumping me here.
It's okay. You can say, I really don't know. I haven't thought about it. And like, I would need like a few years to think about that.
Yeah, well, okay. So an example maybe is when my husband and I, we haven't done it lately, really since COVID, we haven't done it. But before COVID, we love to throw a party. And when we throw a party, we throw a party. And I mean, I'm not saying it's like wild and we get all silly, whatever, but it's a way of showing love to the people we love. So we go all out. He's a fabulous cook and he will, make this menu that goes with whatever theme we're doing. And because I love decorating and making crazy stuff, I will go over the top with our decorations. And we love that when our friends and our loved ones come to a party, they are stepping into a world that is different from their outside world. It's almost like, come on in. This is your happy little cocoon that we've created for you to enjoy for a few hours before you have to go back out into that ugly world
Yeah.
and face all your adult responsibilities. So I think when I'm creating, like, let's say a gallery show or something, I'm picking a theme that is on my heart, really. That's kind of where it starts. And then I just keep adding and layering to it. And I never get done as much as I want to get done, but I hope that when people come into my space, whether it's a gallery show or my home or at an art festival, they are stepping into my world and experiencing it through my eyes. I think if you and you realize as an artist and a maker, you feel like such a weirdo and such an outsider sometimes. But the truth of the matter is, we all have so much in common in this human experience. And there's so much for us to learn from each other that I hope that somebody just takes away a little nugget that maybe they haven't thought of before. Or I guess that's the best. I'm not very good at putting that into words, but
I think you did a great job. Okay, what we failed to touch upon in the beginning is when people are listening, I really encourage them to go to the artist's Instagram account so that when we're talking, it's like you're just part of this experience of listening to the conversation, but also seeing the artist's work. And so while you were talking, I went to your Instagram account. So Dory's Instagram account is at Patrick Dory, PatrickDori. And tell me why your Instagram account is Patrick Dory and not Dori Patrick.
it's because I am a dork and messed up when I first I it's totally there is no good reason. It was just a flub. I messed up on the original account and I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't remember like if it got shut down or whatever. It was just a silly, silly mistake. And then people just were like, "Follow Patrick Dory." And so that one like it took off like a shot and I'm like, "Well, all right, fine. Let's just go with Patrick Dory."
I think it's awesome. It's distinctive. It's different. Okay. Whenever I go to your Instagram account, I feel happy.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. So, are you trying? Like, is this something that you're consciously thinking about? Like, I want people to feel happy when they see my work because I'm looking at these dolls.
Oh
It looks
yeah.
like there's some kind of paper mache that you're painting.
Yeah.
I'm just immediately in a better mood.
I know they're so funny and silly, aren't they? I don't know. I think that I know what makes me giggle and what makes me laugh and I figure somebody else will think this is funny probably. So I just, I throw it out there. I literally just laugh through life because if I don't, I'll just cry. I'm trying,
I
I'm
absolutely
not
love that.
It's not oh, I think the biggest misconception that people make about me is that I am a Pollyanna or, maybe my head's in the clouds, which it kind of is, but I know what's going on. And I see a lot of ugly stuff going on too. I just can't put more of that out there. I just I can't. I just can't. It doesn't mean I don't feel and I don't get sad and I just there's a place for that, and for me, it's not on the internet. You know what I mean? It's just
Well, I definitely know what you mean because I struggle with how much to reveal about my personal, let's just call it sadness about different, the state of the world. And
right,
because of my unique sort of thing and sort of being personally involved now in a lot of like some world drama, like I can't really escape it. So
right.
it's like, if it wasn't my drama, would I even mention it on social media? Probably not. It kind of does involve people like me, so I do mention it, but I totally understand. Like, if it doesn't involve you directly, like, you can just be a happy place for people.
Yeah, yeah. I think that has just been a good lane for me. I yeah. I mean, we could really go down a rabbit hole. I just, I am feeling and I hurt just like everybody else. I'm just trying. This is how I process it. This is how I deal with it. I get my hands moving. I get into the journals, I get into the stitching, and it has always been how I have processed and how I have dealt with things. It has always been my go-to. If a day passes and I haven't done at least a little something, I get real agitated.
So this is very interesting. So at the end of the day, I think we're all very, very similar in the sense of this is how we process and this is how we stay sane in a upside down world.
Yes.
You are not going on your social media every time and saying, "Hey, you see this beautiful thing, you see this funny thing, you see this creative thing that I've made. I'm making this and it's helping me stay sane. It's helping me process. It's helping me find relaxation in an otherwise like agitated world." You're not saying that. And you could say that. I mean, maybe you do occasionally say that.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I do. Yeah.
Okay, that's really, really interesting. I mean, I never really thought too deeply about it, but now that I understand that, like, I'll never forget that about you. And your work makes a lot more sense to me now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's super helpful. All right, so we've gone way far ahead. I want to go back to your childhood. Okay, do you have siblings?
I do. Yeah, I have. So, I mean, not to be going down this whole sadness route, but I have a little brother. He's 7 years younger than me. So he's in his 40s. And he is a high functioning special needs brother. So he is, he just is quirky and
I have
has his
children like this.
has his own yeah, just, socially it's social situations are very hard and very anxiety producing for him and, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, we're not terribly close. I try to, look out for him and keep an eye on him, but so I have one brother. I had another brother, who actually sadly passed away when I was little. He was little, I was 5 years old. So then my little brother who's with us today, he came later on down the road. But I had another brother who had passed away. And, speaking of, when you're 5 years old and your little brother dies, you have this perspective that is not like all the other kids at school. So I always felt a little, I don't know, older than everybody else, like, you know, thinking about deep things before everybody else had to, that kind of thing. So, those kinds of things shape you. They shape you as a person, as a human.
Yeah, so your work is it has a lot more, not that I didn't think it had depth, but now with this added context of hearing your life experience, it just has a lot more meaning.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the reason I asked if you had siblings was I was wondering if your siblings were also highly artistic and highly creative. But
Yeah, and I would say my brother, when he was younger, yeah. I mean, not artsy, but very creative in playing and inventing stories and things like that. It was tough he and I are 7 years apart. And so we both kind of felt like only children, cuz like when I was 14, he was 7. I wasn't, I was already like learning to drive. And so we kind of we lived, I don't know what I'm trying to say. We lived beside each other. We didn't
yes.
really grow up together, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
I'm much, much younger than all of my brothers. The next oldest sibling for me is 7.5 years older than me. So I'm very familiar
oh,
with that phenomenon of kind of feeling like an only child even though you have siblings.
yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, so when you were a kid, when did you realize like I want to do this for the rest of my life?
Oh, I think I've always known. I have always been entrepreneurial, always. Like I would, that gallery thing that I did, that was just the tip of the iceberg. I think I was always trying to like make things and sell them. And I was dreaming up like a little restaurant on our porch. And I was just, I always wanted to do something of my own creation since the beginning. It didn't really, I've always made things and sold things kind of on the side as I had jobs, as a young adult. So I think I always knew, I always wanted to. Like I said, I had my babies young. And so there are just certain things I need. I needed health insurance and I needed some stability for them. And so it came eventually, my chance, but I've always loved making and selling things. I don't
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, did you go to art school?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I took a lot of courses and classes here and there, but no, it's just sort of a cobbled together education. I did not get a formal degree. No.
Gotcha. So after high school, what did you do?
Well, I got married.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There were some rough there was some rough times there as a young adult, figuring things out. And
Did you
yeah,
marry another young person?
he was older than me. He was older than me, but it was just not, it was never going to work out. It was never going to work
Oh,
out.
did you
And
try to create the kind of home that your mother had created for you
yeah.
and your sibling?
Yeah. 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 He's a good guy. My kids have a great relationship with me and my husband, and they have a great relationship with their dad. And my daughter will tell you, she's like, "Oh yeah, I see why that didn't work out, Mom." So the years have passed, and all that drama and stuff is all under the bridge now. But it was rough. It's rough being young and still not, you think you know who you are, you think you know what you want. And I think your 20s are when you figure out what you don't want sometimes.
Yes. I never heard it put that way, but yes. Your 20s are when you figure out what you don't want,
Yeah,
and you have to make a lot of mistakes to figure out what you don't want.
totally, totally.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, and I made plenty. I made plenty.
Yes.
But I have 2 beautiful, wonderful, sweet kids who just it's just amazing. It's amazing watching them they are adults and they're adulting.
Do they live in the same metropolitan area that you?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we're all close, fairly close by, but we see each other. I don't see my son as much as my daughter. My daughter is crazy about our doggies, and so she comes and visits. I told my husband we got to always have a dog so that my girl will come and see me on a regular basis. But
Well, is your daughter artistic and crafty? Like, I can't imagine she could be your daughter without being artsy craftsy.
she is trained as a pastry chef.
So
Yeah.
she is artsy craftsy.
So I don't know if she would say she is, but she's creative. Yeah, both of the kids are creative in their own way. She did a lot of sewing with my mom when she was little, so she used to make a lot of clothes and make little accessories and things like that. She and my mom really bonded over that. But yeah, she doesn't do that so much anymore, and she's, doing the adult thing. She's not working as a pastry chef. That's what she went to school with. And then COVID came and just really disrupted everything
Yes, really disrupt
for
everything. Oh,
everybody.
okay, so I wanna hear, though, about how you became the artist that we know you now as, which is you have an incredibly distinctive style. So,
Oh,
where
thanks.
did that style first show itself?
Probably in the early 2000s when my children were young and I had a corporate job that long story short, I benefited from the stock options. We did really well on the stock market and I took my chance to get out of there and go open my own place. And so in 2004, I was already well, I guess okay. I'm so sorry. I jump around in my brain here. So while I was still working at the corporate job, this was a, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 office job. I was making things on the side and I would do an occasional like craft show here and there. There was a stint where I even made candles and I was so naughty. I would like bring them in and I'd put them in my desk drawer and like people would know that I had them and I would sneak like selling candles out of my desk drawer and I was terrible. I was just terrible. But anyway, so I was making things and I got into the wholesale side of the market. So I would make little colorful plaques with, you know, funny little quotes and they would hang from wire and beads and I would make little ornaments and blah blah blah. And I started selling those to gift shops. First locally, then regionally, and then while I still had the corporate job, I was like, I wonder if I could take this further. And I went to, I think it was Chicago was the first one I did. It was like a wholesale market, where if you're a store owner, you go to these markets and you see what's new and you purchase stuff for your gallery or your shop. And so I made a bunch of samples, got a booth and took orders for stuff, which it was my work, and then I also brought in the work of another artist because I was so nervous about filling the booth. I didn't think I could do it on my own. So I was taking orders for this other artist and myself, and then I would come home and make this stuff. Like, I would work all day at the job, be with my kids in the evening, tuck them into bed, and I'd go down to my basement and I would work on my stuff to fill those orders. And it got to a point where it was so much that I had to make a decision, basically. And I'm like, well, I guess I could just give this a shot and give it a try. And I grabbed it was like a little storefront in Marion, Iowa, which is a suburb here of Cedar Rapids, cute little town and had a little storefront in the front and I had a little workshop in the back. And so I would sell my creations and I would bring in the work of other artists and sell in the front of the shop. And I would work in the back and continue to fill orders for my wholesale customers. Then an opportunity came up and a place across the street that was much bigger opened up and we grabbed it. I mean, it was crazy. We were like, we want this space. Don't give it to anybody else. We literally moved over like the week before Thanksgiving so that we could be open. This small business Saturday. It was so crazy.
This is a
No, don't
brilliant
do what
business
I do.
model.
It's insane.
Wait, this is actually because there was someone who was near me who was a ceramic artist who did this, where they had their own workshop in the back, but the front was a small gallery, and she sold her ceramics plus other artists' work.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
did this work out? Like, could you make ends meet? Could you pay the rent,
Yes.
the
Yes.
electricity, make money? So
Yeah.
this worked. So
Yeah.
keep talking
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, it was great. It was great, and it grew. The wholesale side of the business kept growing as my name got out there, and my style was evolving. So everything I was doing was, like, colorful and funny quotes, and, it was just lots of color. I just have always loved lots of color. Like, I think that there is no neutral, everything's a neutral. Put
So
it all
okay,
together.
talk about this specifically because this is the theme, the string that's binding all this together. So why? Tell me why all the color? Where does that come from?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's what I gravitate towards. It is, I have a tendency in my life to just run towards weirdness and run towards the danger. And I think it feels gutsy and dangerous to just like slap all those colors together. And if I say they work, they work.
They
You know what I
do
mean?
work. Okay, this is so wild. It's like you're back on the farm and you guys are doing like these dangerous things and you're scaring your mom and like you're just going for it in so many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I have a good reason why I feel like, and it's funny, there are things that I see, people are like, "Oh, that is so much color." And I'm like, "Oh, really? No, that's not. No, here, let me show you."
This is awesome.
So, it's
You're a thrill seeker, and it's like
I think so.
by challenging people's aesthetic of the use of color and the combinations of color and what goes with what and what doesn't and blah 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 blah. You're like, I am seeking the greatest thrill.
Mhm. I think that is a really good way to put it. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And if you tell me I can't do it, well, then you just better sit back because I'm gonna do it. You've already challenged me to do it.
That is so awesome. So, okay, tell me about the types of objects you were making in the workshop that you were then displaying in the front of the store.
I'm sorry, what was that question?
What kinds of things were you creating? Were they small paintings? Were they three-dimensional objects? Like what were you creating that you
Yeah.
sold in the gallery?
Okay. Yeah, for the wholesale business, it was a lot of like plaques and ornaments and things that were easy for us to duplicate. Because when you go to market and you're selling a certain, plaque or whatever, that store expects to receive the thing that looks like that. So you're doing a lot of duplicating. I had a local woodworking guy. Jeff the wood guy is what we called him, and he would come by every week and take my orders for whatever I needed. Whatever I sketched out, he could cut out of wood. It was so fun. And so it was a lot of little decorative things, and they were also inspirational. But I also gravitated more towards doing paintings on canvas, and I gradually got tired of all of the repeat making 100 of the same plaque or whatever. That that got tiresome pretty quickly.
What I find fascinating about your business model is the thing that you tried to replicate the art versus making something and then trying to find someone else to replicate it.
Mhm.
Like, I get it because I really like production art and, like,
Yeah.
I don't mind making things, like, a lot of repetitive things, but I think for
Mhm.
someone who's as creative as you are, as artsy as you are, I could see where repeating would get old,
Yeah.
and did you ever think, "Well, let me see if I could hire people and train them to do a lot of what I do. Maybe I put the finishing touches on or something," but, like,
Yeah.
did you ever try that model?
Yeah. Yeah, so when we moved over to the, and when I say we, my husband was working his my husband has his own career.
This
He
is
has a
husband
full-time.
1 or husband
What's
2?
that?
Husband 1 or husband 2?
Oh, this is all husband 2. This is
Okay.
all husband 2, yeah. So he's a darling and all what in the beginning, we couldn't afford employees, so he was my he just schlepped things for me, and he would help me. He even would, like, base coat stuff for me. He would come help me on the weekends and base coat stuff and whatnot, and he's the one that really pushed me to get that bigger space. He saw more in me than I did at that time, I think. And he's like, I really think we can make this bigger space work, blah, 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 blah. And I was scared to death. Like, I was scared to death because it was more of a financial commitment. It was, I'm raising these little kids. And I thought, are my kids going to starve? All this stuff. But gradually, he would help me in the shop on the weekends, and then eventually I pared down with the wholesale business. I kept some of my I just worked with the people I loved, and I just let everything else, all the other wholesale stuff fall away. It's kind of a ruthless business. There are shops who get that you are hand making it and they love that you're hand making it and that's a selling point for them. And then there are stores that buy just because they want the cheapest thing they can possibly get and they don't care how it's made. It wouldn't have made a difference if it had been made in China or whatever. And I'm like, those are the things I needed to let fall away. So we kept the wholesale business going for a couple of years while we moved. We were in that bigger space and we kept going. But the shop became a place for me to experiment and play while selling my work. And I started doing a little buying. I would buy some greeting card lines and some things through other artists and sell. And then the wholesale just kind of fell away slowly, and it was a relief. It was just a big relief. When you're done with something, you're done with something, and it's hard to when some people just love what you're doing and are crazy about it and want it to continue. It's hard to tell those people, "Look, I'm done."
Yeah.
But it was the right thing to do. Yeah, the whole production aspect, we looked into that several times with several different companies, and all of it didn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to me. This mass production of stuff overseas, I don't think is ever gonna be my jam. It just doesn't feel good.
But
So we
did you ever think, "Well, let me hire a few artisans, crafty type people,
Mhm.
and I'll supervise them in my workshop in the back of the gallery"?
Yeah, yeah. So eventually, I was able to afford some employees. And at our peak, we probably had 5 or 6 part time employees that, worked various. Mostly, I just loved having somebody in the shop too, so that I could go focus on my work in the back. I liked having the store, but I wanted to focus on my art. So, yeah, so we had employees that would help us with stuff like the base coating. They got to know how I liked certain things done, and I would do the finishing work. Yeah, yeah, but it was a lot. It was a whole lot.
It's a
It was
whole lot. So, what
yeah.
was the name of the store? Like, what was the name of the gallery?
Our store was called the Dreaming Bear.
Aw.
And it was named after a woman I had met years and years ago on a trip, and she was Native American, and her name was Dreaming Bear. And she made this impression on me. I could see her face just as clear as day in my mind now. She was very old. I think she was selling her jewelry creations. I don't even remember where I was, somewhere out east. And I don't when we were thinking about names for the shop, it just came to me, and I thought, "Let's call this the Dreaming Bear," and we did. So and it was just kind of like this homage to this woman I didn't know who was so wise and beautiful, and yeah. So it was the
That's really
Dreaming Bear.
so
We were mistaken a lot. A lot of people called us the Dancing Bear, I don't know, we were called all kinds of stuff.
so
And funny.
am I correct in assuming the dreaming bear does not exist anymore?
Correct. Yeah.
So
So,
how did that happen?
yeah. Well, as the years went by and we're in that bigger space, it was mostly a store. It was a store and my workshop in the back. Then one of my good customers with her darling, cute little girl, her name's Danny. She's a college student now. They came in and they said, Dory, we love this place so much. We want to have a birthday party here. And I was like, oh, well, we could do that, I guess. And she's like, could we do like a little craft project in your workshop or something? And so we did. She was my first kid's birthday party, and it's so cute. I'm still friends with these ladies today, and she tells people, "I was the first birthday party Dory ever had at the Dreaming Bear." Somebody called, like, the news came. All of a sudden, we found ourselves with people wanting, to have a creative space to play in and to host parties. So we started off keeping the store in the front, and my workshop ended up moving upstairs. There, I got more space. I got an office upstairs that I worked in, and we transformed the workshop in the back to a little party room. And we hosted little kids' birthday parties. We had occasional workshops when we could squeeze it into our schedule. Sometimes I would have guest artists come and run a little workshop. I would advertise for them and talk about it with my customers and get them to come that part of the business really it became a very big part of my business, but it also became just so important to us. We loved it. We loved it. My husband would run the front of the shop. I would go in the back and just run these parties. I had those little kids just like whipped into shape. They were not naughty. They were just like, it was just so much fun.
Give me an
And
example of a project that kids would make.
let's see. Well, one thing that was really popular was we had paper mache animals of all different kinds. Like there were doggies, kitties, elephants, whatever. It was like a paper mache animal that was already made. Like you could buy it at a craft store. I bought it from my distributor. And then the kids would pick their animal and then they would paint them. And then we would have stuff. We had all kinds of stuff for them to decorate with. So we eventually expanded this idea to the front part of the store. I got tired of all the ordering stuff made in China, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, let's make this the party place and the place where people come to make stuff. So we downsized the gift and the selling portion. We had a little portion where people could still come and get some greeting cards and things like that. But we made the whole downstairs place a workshop. So we eventually became known as the make and take workshop in town. So we would have open studio, and that meant you could come in, you could just drop in during business hours. We had all the space. You could pick from a variety of projects. So we mostly had painting, decoupage, and mosaic projects. So you could pick your base, whether that's a paper mache animal or a canvas or whatever, and you could decide what you wanted to do with it, and we would charge accordingly. And then we charged like a small fee, hourly fee on top of the project price. And it was a hit. I mean, it was a hit. It was so much fun. We were busy all the time. We had workshops going. We did private parties.
This is all before you met me.
Yep, because we closed in 2016. Yeah.
Before the
So,
pandemic.
yes. Thank goodness.
Thank God.
Oh my God. We say that all the time, my husband and I. I'm like, he is like, you would have been like knocking heads together with people trying to deal with that pandemic.
Yes.
I said, you're right. I probably would have because
What
uh,
what brought this chapter to a close?
I had some health issues happening in 2015, I think. And I was just really getting run down. I was really run down and feeling yucky. And also, not just that, really feeling a calling to focus on my own artistic expression.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Running workshops and parties for people is not the same thing as it's not. I was always thinking of the next thing that I could have my people do. And I had no time to do my own thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely know because
You
most
know.
of what I do is administrative, marketing, sales. Very little of what I do is like my own thing. And I can see how we go through these phases and everything is a phase. That's a thing I learned when I was in my early or my yeah, like when I was close to 30, I learned that everything is a phase.
Yeah.
So if you think like if you know that things are a phase, then nothing feels that oppressive because you know it's just a time and a place and you'll get to that other place soon enough. So
Yes.
right now I'm in a
Yes.
place where I'm not so much doing my own thing, but I'm still having fun, but I know that there will come a time as long as I stay alive that I will mostly be doing my own thing. And
Yes.
that'll be a different time. So, okay. So how did you I mean, this sounds like people would have been upset that you were closing.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. It was the fall of 2015 when I was like, telling my husband, I really think I'm done. I really think I'm done. And I, I am, he is such a good balance for me because I am so impulsive. I am just like, I'm done. I'm done. And he's like, okay, well, we need to phase this out. We can't just be done, you know. So we figured out all the financial stuff, and I knew everybody asked me this, why didn't you just sell the business? And I was like, the dreaming bear was us. It was no one else, and I didn't it just was us. So it just was going away with us. So we figured out all our financials and our exit plan, and we knew that the spring of 2016 was going to be when we would say goodbye. So I really got into this frame of mind. I mean, I was burned out and tired and everything, but I got into this frame of mind like, okay, Dory, this is your last, this is going to be your last Halloween here at the shop. So enjoy it, have fun with it. And we really did that. We savored all of those last moments. And then I think in early 2016, we announced that we were going to be done in mid-May. And in mid-May in Marion, there's a big arts festival. It's the Marion Arts Festival. And it was always one of our biggest days of the year at the shop because so many people from all around would come to Uptown Marion for this art festival. And they would come to our shop and everything. And so we thought, what better day to go out on, when everybody's uptown with us. And so we made that day our last day and we just made it this big party. And it was so moving and beautiful. And it was such a reminder that what we did there mattered. And we created memories for these kiddos that they still come up to me on the street. Some of them I don't even recognize anymore. And they're like, Miss Dory, we grew up in the Dreaming Bear. You did three of our
Wow.
birthday parties. And it was just, I mean, I'm kind of getting emotional just thinking about it. And there was crying and there was laughing, and it was just the best send off that we could have hoped for. And we cleaned that place out. We were out of there by the end of that May. I came home and I got sick. Sick, sick, sick. Like I can't remember what I had. I was sick, and I think it was just all of that. There was just so much I was letting go of, and I was
Yeah.
working through so much those final weeks that I think I wore myself out, caught some bug. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
I had, but but it was just so nice to be sick and not have to worry about that storefront. Because that's what you do when people don't
Yes.
realize that. When you have a storefront, you're always thinking about it. You're always worried about it. Your days off are not a day off. You're always thinking about it. And it was such a nice relief to just rest, you know.
Do you feel like with the business that you run now that you have the luxury of having a day off if you need a day off?
Yes. Yes. It's really, really nice to work from home and have that flexibility. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think about sometimes, oh, do I want to go get another studio? But I just love the simplicity right now. Yeah.
so yeah, walk me through the recovery and how you ended up, I assume, and I think I've seen you in your home studio.
Yeah, yeah. So those first it was pretty funny. Once I got over being sick, I went on this bender that whole summer of hanging out with friends because I could never go have coffee with my girlfriends and stuff. So I spent several weeks just playing with friends, going on movie dates and doing all this. It was really kind of comical. My husband was like, "Oh, another lunch date with your girlfriends," and I said, "I guess I'm making up for lost time here." But it was so nice to have that. And then I thought, "Well, I should probably get going on something here." I don't know what, but I took over our old family room, which is it's the back on the back of our house. We have this we live in a 1920s-ish English Tudor style home, and my studio is a family room that was added on later on down the road. So it's so nice because there are doors I can shut on it. So I can leave my mess out. It doesn't, doesn't bother anybody. It doesn't get in the way. It's got old floors that I don't care about, so I can
Yeah,
slop
probably
paint
nice
around.
windows.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of light. It's great. It's great. I've managed to, like I always do, fill it up. I probably should do a purge and get some stuff out of here. But, we artists, you never know when you're gonna use that thing, so you gotta
I
hang
know.
on.
Do you ever take some of your stuff? Like, do you have an attic on your you probably do have a full attic. Do you ever take some of your excess stuff and just put it away thinking, "I don't wanna give it away, but I'm not using it now, so I just have to
Yeah.
store it."
Yeah, yeah, I have a little storage closet that I do that with. I'm pretty good at cleaning out once in a while. Get real about what you're really going to get done. And take stuff to Goodwill or take it. We have a lot of places here in town that gladly accept art supplies and stuff, so I'll do a periodic donation with my stuff. And you know what? The truth is, I don't miss it. I don't miss it.
It's such a complicated subject.
It is.
It's like 20 years later, you might be like, "Why did I give that away?" But you know what? Why who cares? You can just get it again. It's not
Exactly.
that deep. Um,
Exactly.
okay, so you close the store. At the point where you close the store, did you know immediately, like, "I'm making our family room addition my studio"? Did you know that was where your studio would be?
Yeah, yeah, that was the plan because my baby child had just graduated and was gonna, let's see. Yeah, he graduated. Yes. That no wonder I was sick. He graduated that year. Yeah. And then he moved out that's later that summer. So we knew there was going to be extra room in the house real soon. So yeah, the plan was always to take over this back room. My husband works from home too. So that was an adjustment. He works upstairs in what used to be my daughter's bedroom. That's his office now. And that was also kind of comical, just me getting used to being home all the time and realizing, well, I can't just like holler at him, up the stairs because he might be on a call or something. So he's got me pretty well trained to be quiet and not be hollering at him all the time.
But
But,
it's nice because you're never totally alone, so it's like,
yes,
even though you're working on your art and it's like a solo thing, there's a human there.
yes, yes, and my dogs. I love being with my dogs all day. They are just so fun, and because I'm on the back of the house, the back door to the backyard is off of my studio, so I am always the one. Sometimes they drive me crazy with wanting to go in and out of the house, but I'm the one in charge of letting them in and out all day.
All
And
day.
they make me so happy. I just love being around them. Yeah, it's a good life. It's a really simple life.
It doesn't look so simple, Dory. It doesn't
Oh,
look so simple. When I see everything that you do, I'm always like, "Man, is she prolific."
oh, thanks. Thanks.
So talk about the prolific life and the shows, the galleries, like everyone is going to be interested because I do think like so many people who are artists, there's going to be a lot of people who listen who are like, I would like to maybe try my hand at being a showing artist. So talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So after all of my messing around with my friends, and then I got settled into this studio, the other thing that I did in 2016, which was it was pivotal for me before I really settled in and started working. I took a trip to Oaxaca, Mexico. If you ever have a chance, go to Oaxaca. It is the most magical place ever. I had never been out of the country before, so this was my first trip out of the country, and I went, excuse me, with a group of women. It was one of those, organized retreat kind of things, and I think the hostess is no longer doing them anymore, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We were there for Dia de los Muertos, and that trip was a real game changer for me on so many levels. I really had, like I said, I had never been out of the country before, and I decided to do that by myself. My first trip. And my darling husband is always so I go, "I don't know, can I do that?" And he's like, "Of course you can do it. You can do anything." And I'm like, "Well, okay." I usually travel with him, and he takes care of me and, gets me where I have to go, and he's great at getting snacks and, all that stuff. So this was like kind of a big deal for me to take this big trip out of the country by myself, finding my way to the retreat center and all that stuff. And I met a bunch of beautiful, wonderful women. And we did a little bit of art journaling, and then we did some excursions, and we visited places like ancient ruins, and we went to a weaving village where everybody in the whole village contributes to this weaving, and they sell their wares in museums and gift shops and things, and just seeing this other way. And because it was Dia de los Muertos, they were all the city was just we were in Oaxaca City, and it was decked out. Like, everybody had their gorgeous altars out for Day of the Dead and with their candles and their marigolds, and it was sensory overload. But immersing ourselves in that culture for a week was pivotal for me to come back and really think about what I wanted to get after with my work. And it doesn't mean I didn't really take off right away. I I really was kind of fumbling around for several months because I was so used to waiting on customers and organizing children and this and that. It took a long time for me to really settle down, to quiet my mind and really dig into the kind of work that I wanted to do. And I think that for all of us creatives, that's just a constant thing. That's a constant. You check in with me in 6 months and I probably would say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing now. I'm trying this thing and I don't know if it's going to work." I mean, we're just always thinking and evolving and changing our approach. And it took me a long time to figure out how to settle into that. And now I'm used to it, so it doesn't scare me like it did in those early days of just being I always knew where I was going to be and where the money was coming from. And this was a whole new ball game. And it took a while to adjust. Does that make sense?
Yes. And it makes sense in the context of not just for me, but also like people that I'm close with trying to figure out how they want their life to be and what direction they want to go in,
Yeah,
and sort of living with the unknown, the fear, and just going, I'm going to have fear, but I'm going to do it anyway. And like,
exactly. You hit the nail on the head. I don't not get afraid. I get afraid I'm afraid a lot. But it makes me angry if I think about not doing something because I'm afraid. I guess that emotion is what takes over then. And you decide, well, am I going to regret not trying this? Yeah. So why not try it?
so is that how you respond with what you're going to create? Like, you're
Yeah.
clearly always going to be an artist. You have a very distinctive style. You're not turning your style upside down. It's more, well, how are you going to apply your style to something different? Is what I see when I look at your work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great observation. Yeah. I'm looking for the next adventure. Always. And you need to savor the adventure that you're in. I don't ever want to I think we tend to rush ahead to what's the next thing? What's the next this was great, but there's got to be something better around the corner. And I think there's a tendency to miss a lot of the goodness and a lot of the lessons that are in front of you right now. And I'm not saying I do that perfectly. I am always catching myself and trying to reevaluate, but I try really hard. And the fortunate thing is, I have a partner that brings me back to present, and I have dogs. Dogs are really good at bringing you to present. It's that savor and enjoy what you've done and what you are doing, and then think about, okay, now what's next? What's after this? How could I switch it up? What's different? I know by now, and this has taken some time to figure out. I know when I'm just doing same old stuff and I'm not really trying because I know how it feels. It feels dull and boring and not exciting. And oh, we've seen this before and blah, blah, blah. And I have done this enough years now that I can recognize that feeling and respond to it. So I think when you're new, you aren't quite as in tune with it. You just have to practice it. You just have to practice recognizing the feeling and then deciding what you're going to do to change it. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I do have a question.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that is like a repeating, I don't even know what you would call it. It's just a repeating form that your art takes is these abstract, whimsical, floral collage paintings on
Yeah.
either wood or canvas or something like that. So, is that something that it's just so fun that you sometimes go back to it? Or did that have, like, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and really when I'm seeing it again, it's really just art that is maybe in your stash that comes out?
Yeah, I love doing them. I love doing them. I love making florals. But some of my florals, I have that feeling like, oh, this isn't quite what I want it to be. And I have found different ways to, stir it up. So that's kind of what my lesson with you guys in Fodder School 5 is going to be about. It kind of came from one of those this whole project like came from one of those moments of, okay, this is not exciting me. What can we do to change this up? And what can I do to make somebody look at this again? You know, when a good piece of art draws you in initially, and then it keeps you there because there's something else, something that isn't quite, I don't want to say isn't quite right, but something that just kind of or jars you or zaps you a little bit that isn't expected. And that's what I hope all of my art is, but I don't think I achieve it every single time. I
So,
strive to, but I try.
I have often thought about what makes a piece of art a favorite of mine, and the way that I describe it, and I think it's pretty much exactly what you're describing. The way I describe it is when I look at that piece of art, every time I discover something that I didn't know was there.
Yes. Yeah.
And your work definitely definitely has that feeling of every time I would look at a piece, I would discover something that I didn't recognize was there before.
Oh, well, thanks.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's one of the things that makes it that makes your work super, super exciting. So let's just talk about like, so you were a teacher in fodder school too, and you taught an amazing lesson. I still have like the pieces that I made in your lesson are prominently displayed in my home on my first floor, which means like that's major for me to like
Oh,
display something on my first floor. But I have one of them is in my foyer, one of them is in my kitchen, two, I think. Actually, no, three are in my kitchen. Three.
oh,
Okay.
cool.
So you did your abstract florals. It was
Yes.
amazing. And then tell everyone what you're going to be teaching in Fodder School 5 because it's very different.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. So this project, you want me to just talk about the main project?
Yes, talk about the
Okay.
main project.
Yeah. Yeah. So I call them split heads. And they came from a bunch of like floral paintings that I actually, or not paintings, drawings, excuse me. I was doodling in a sketchbook and doing some floral drawings, and I just was like, these are bleh. And so I pulled them out of the book, and I don't know, I don't even remember how or why I decided to do it, but I took a ruler and put it down the center, and I just started ripping them in half. And I thought, they were just too precious. They were too sweet and precious, and I wasn't digging it. So I ripped them all in half, and then I actually started taking them and pairing them up with another half from another drawing. And then that got me so excited because it became like this little puzzle. So I started using that approach with a lot of other topics and subjects. And these split heads came from that technique of just making something too sweet, and I needed to make it a little more jarring. And so I purposely went to draw a head. It's sort of, I don't know, I think it was a line drawing on some yellow paper. And I just repeatedly I drew this split head over and over and over and over and over again. Partially because I like a lot of people, I find faces sometimes to be something that's daunting. And that's the other thing too. If something is daunting, run to it and do it over and over and over until it doesn't scare you anymore. So
Oh, I
that's what I
love
did.
that. Oh my gosh. I
Just
feel like I feel like I'm gonna re-listen to this episode and write down so many quotes.
my mom would be like, "Don't run to the danger," but I say, "Run to the danger."
I'm also like, this is funny, and I'm gonna tell you this, but basically, I want my daughter to listen to this. And even before it gets edited and released publicly, I think I'm gonna send her the recording and be like, I really want you to listen to this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just run to it and do it and face it, and then it won't be scary anymore. So that's what I did with these faces. And I do not draw realistically. I'm not interested in drawing realistically. I like weird stuff. So these are these weird heads that I think I created the first batch for a show in Chicago and did all these drawings, tore them up, pieced them together with something that didn't match. And then my favorite part of this whole process is having the two halves in front of you and then deciding what to do to make him look like he is one person again. And I'll show my kind of my thought process of how I do that. So they're very distinctly two different faces put together, but he will look like a whole person because of some of the decisions that we will make to bring him together. So some of that will be with the collage fodder that we make ahead of time. Some of that will be deciding on a different color, like, making his neck all one, I'll show you all the stuff, but that's the idea. And so when you look at a split head, it is obvious that he is two halves. He's two people that have been put together, and then we have made little decisions to bring it together. And then I usually do on a canvas panel, and that's what I'm doing in this lesson. And I pop them into a colorful frame. So I'll show you what I do with the frames, how I frame them. I love these in groupings because that makes them just a little more fun when they have another one to play off of. So I'm going to encourage you all to make it, at least 3 or more. I'll demonstrate at least 3, and then they're just they are so fun. And the shows that I've taken them to shows. I did bigger ones for a gallery show a couple years ago here in Cedar Rapids, and people just faces are something that are so interesting to me. And I look around my house and I have a lot of stuff, a lot of art with faces on it. And I think there is something about how it reflects back to you yourself. You see yourself, or you see someone you love so much reflected back to you in a face in art. And I think they're so fun. And the possibilities are endless with this project. Like, all your extras will be fun to have for your art journal. I'll show you kind of what I do in my art journal with them too. But yeah, and the split heads I went on to design products with. I did a fabric design with them and some washi tape, all that fun stuff.
I'm just having a whole new experience of you as I'm listening to you talk. I'm going back further and further and further in your Instagram account, which I always encourage everyone to do. If you find an artist that is intriguing to you, scroll all the way back to where they began their Instagram account and carefully go through their feed, because I I mean, it's just maybe not everybody learns the same, but I feel like I learn a lot about the learning process of being an artist by looking at other people's evolution and how much
Mhm.
they've experimented and how much they've changed, and how, you don't just show up like as the artist that people think you are because they saw you in on a certain day. Like, there's a whole incredible experience behind what you're seeing. And now that I'm hearing your full story and I'm looking at your account, it has so much more depth and meaning. Just I'm noticing how you do revisit themes but differently. Like you will like I can see that there were other types of faces
Yeah.
that you had
Yeah.
made, and then when you come back to faces, you're coming back to it with like a different approach. And then you come back again and there's a different approach, which I think is really cool to see.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's so much instant gratification for all of us. Social media is like it's so great. I mostly have a lot of fun with it. You when somebody who you admire is doing work you love, it is easy to assume that they have always been there and that they have always known exactly what to do, and it is so important that to remember that this has all been an evolution. It has been years, years and years of working and living to get to where I am. And I will keep on going and I will look back on this time, and go, "Oh, well, look where I've come from there." It's just it's it's never-ending inspiration to me, I think. And I if I could I wish people would know that it's in all of us. It's in all of us who want to do it and want to put the work in. It doesn't happen overnight.
I agree with you 100,000%. If there are people who are listening who are like, I wish I could make art, it's in every person. You just have
Yes,
to be willing to make whatever comes out of you and then show up again the next day and make it again or make something else or try something different. But there's no one who is incapable of making art. There's no
right,
one.
right. Yeah. You don't need anybody's permission to show up and do what you want to do. You don't need anybody's permission. Just do it.
You may not even know what you wanna do, you just wanna touch paint. You just
Yes,
wanna run a crayon across a piece of paper. Like,
yes.
you don't even have to like, because my brain does not work like a lot of other artists. I don't have a thing where I close my eyes and I see a vision of what I wanna make. It's just not how my brain works.
Hmm.
I have to have my eyes open actually, and I have to be seeing things in front of my face to inspire me to try something. And that's, I
Yeah.
think, probably why I ended up owning a little art school because I'm very inspired by taking other people's classes, and I don't personally have shame in it. I know a lot of other people might be like, "Well, I wanna make something that's, like, totally unique," and I support those people. Go for it. But I have a lot of fun in trying to just have fun.
Yes. Yes. I see just from, those years of teaching and coaching kids and, all that stuff. There's this misconception that an artist is someone other than you, or separate and different. And I guess, yeah, we are. I mean, we are different. Our little brains are a little, wired differently, but it is not something that is not accessible to anybody. I don't I see a lot of people, women especially, who think that someone needs to give them permission to do something. And also, they think they have to just be great at it right out of the gate. And that's unrealistic. I mean, my husband and I, we do weightlifting 3 times a week. And I think back to years ago when I first started. I wasn't good at it. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. I could barely even lift a 25-pound bar. You don't start off just tearing it up and winning medals and winning trophies right away. You show up. Well, first of all, you got to humble yourself to show up because you're probably going to look kind of goofy sometimes. And fortunately, I'm used to looking goofy all the time, so I don't care. But humble yourself and give yourself permission to just not be great at something for a while. Just you don't have to being good at something doesn't isn't the prerequisite for doing the thing. You do the thing because you love doing the thing.
Yes, there's the quote. You do the thing because you just love doing the thing. Like whether you're great at it or not, it doesn't that's not even the value that you get
No,
out of it.
right.
It's the just do the thing that you want to do because it seems like it would be fun for you.
Right. Right.
I'm giving
Yeah, I get
everyone permission. It's like we only look, I don't know anything about an afterlife because nobody's ever actually come back from an afterlife to realistically speak about it. But so, as far as we know, this is our one life. So, we better do the things that look like fun to us and feel like fun to us now because no one is promised another life.
exactly. Exactly. Amen, sister.
Amen. All right. On that note, is there anything else that you want to share? Okay, here's something I do have another question.
Okay.
People see your work on Instagram. Is it for sale? How does that work?
Some of it is, yeah. So, and this is kind of hilarious because I will say, hey, just put this in the Etsy shop, link in my profile, and they'll be like crickets. And then other times I'll share, like, I'll say, hey, this is a journal page I just worked on. And then somebody will go, is that for sale? And I'm like, people, work with me here.
I know. Okay, so I didn't even know that. Like that's how
No, no,
obtuse
no.
we are.
I'm
Wait,
just being sassy.
no. I want you to tell us about your Etsy shop. So
Oh,
you have it. Do you have an open Etsy shop?
yes, yes. So most of so my income comes from a few different sources. It comes from occasional teaching, like I'm doing here with Fodder School. I travel to a few art festivals in the region, in this Midwest region mostly. I don't go very far. In the summertime, my husband helps me with those. I usually do about 5 or 6 a summer. So I sell my work there. And I also have an Etsy shop. So I sell mostly the Etsy shop is prints, stickers. It's a lot of paper goods. I occasionally will put my one of a kind paintings in there. But during show season, I'm traveling around with all my paintings. So, there's less in there. But the Etsy shop has been great for me with my paper goods, like cards and stickers and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So that's awesome. So someone can just go to Etsy. It's Dori Patrick art on Etsy.
Yeah, the search engine on Etsy is kind of funky. So, I recommend going to my Instagram and then up at the top in the profile, there's a link. There's a thing with all my links. And you'll find my Etsy shop in my links up there.
Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
I just had another question. Okay, so the things that I see in real time, like right now, in the moment when I'm doing this interview, you're making these amazing paper mache dolls. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, I want one of those. Do you ever like I guess if you were selling those, you probably would have a hard time amassing a body of work for a in-person show.
Yeah, yeah. So those dolls, yeah. So those paper mache people are they're plaster, but they
Oh,
are currently yeah. So I have a show up currently. So this is March 24th that we're recording this. I don't know when this will come out, but I have a show up right now in a gallery here in Cedar Rapids and it's called Feels Like Flying. And so it's a collection of paintings, some furniture, some sculptures, and those people are part of that show. And so all of those things, this gallery does not ship. So what we're doing is while this show is up, it's going to be up through Easter. Everything's available for sale, but we're making it available to the local people first because they don't ship. And so when I take that show down, whatever I have left that I can ship. So like if I have some of those little plaster people left, they will likely end up in my Etsy shop because I have some customers who shop with me online pretty regularly who are interested in those.
Okay, I
So
hope I find out when those go in your if well, first of all, I hope they don't go in your Etsy shop because I hope you sell them all. But if they do go in your Etsy shop, I hope I hear about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was such a fun. Yeah, so that show has been up since March 6th is when we had our opening. And I tell you what, this year we traveled for Christmas and my goal was, okay, when we get back from this trip after the new year, I'm going to get banging on this show cuz it goes up March 6th. And I had it all planned out, all this, I had it planned out and I got sick. We all came home sick from Christmas and I think it was the flu. And so I got set back like 2 weeks. I was so sick. And then I caught another thing. I don't get sick a whole lot. And I was just catching every bug this year. So getting this show done was like felt like a feat trying to push it through. I was like slamming Dayquil so I could keep on working because I had this deadline. And the show is called Feels Like Flying, and it was all based on this journal page that I did of these people flying over this little village in trees at night. And I think about guardian angels a lot, and I think I thought they were kind of like our little guardian angels.
I want a guardian angel.
I know. And those little sculptures are part of that. And I barely got them done, man. Like, seriously, the paint
How
was.
many did you produce for the show?
I made up my mind that I needed 24. So I did 24.
Wow.
It was crazy. And I was scrambling to get everything else done. And I said to my husband, I go, these little people, I was probably crazed looking at him going, these people need names and stories. I need names and stories. And he's like, leave it with me. And so I had them all on a spreadsheet and he named them and gave them each their little stories for me. And it was
What?
perfect.
He's your partner.
He is. He saved me. It was so great. So they each have their own little story about why they
I
feel like
love it.
flying. And they are
About
just
why they feel like flying?
yes. Yeah. Feels like flying is all about
Gotcha.
yeah. Yeah, it's all about those moments in life where you're so excited and terrified that you feel like maybe you would just like lift off the ground and fly. So, that's what it's all about.
So your husband made the stories up?
Yeah, he did. He looked at the little people, he just gave them each a name that felt right and then wrote their little yeah, so if you're following me on Instagram, I'm sharing one of them each day so that my people who can't make it to the show in person can see them and hear their stories. I think today I just shared Marmalade and she feels like flying because she had a loose tooth that finally came out in reading class and there was a bunch of blood and all the kids thought it was cool.
Love your art. I love you. I love your story. I love everything about this interview. I just want to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Wendy. And thank you for letting me be a part of this Fodder School world. I just love it. You have created just such a wonderful community. I had so much fun last time. That's why I'm back. I'm like, let me back in.
I'm so happy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for this interview. And I will be talking to you again soon.
Sounds good, Wendy. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye bye, Dory.
Bye bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Show Up or Shut Up podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast and leave a rating and review. And once again, you can find me, Wendy, and free gifts for newsletter subscribers, online classes with me and many other incredible instructors, my blog, and everything else at willawanders.com and on Instagram at willa.wanders. Talk to you soon. Until then, stay curious and keep making.